Look at the logic I'm showing you. Why I'm putting my stop loss where I'm putting it's exactly how I teach it. The algorithm's going to respect that. You see, oh man, he's putting a stop loss right there. I couldn't do that because you haven't been doing this long enough and you haven't adopted what? The experience of seeing it. I've handled this stuff for 30 years. I've been in it for 3 decades. I've seen this pan out so many times. I know how to trust it. And if I lose at it, it's not a big deal. I know that it will repeat again. And if I took a loss, I can get that back easily. It's easy. Losing is hard for a neophyte. It's impossible to get through a losing set of trades as a new student. You need encouragement. You need to be able to be around other people to say, hey, look, I've been there too. And that's one of the benefits of being in a community like this, because I don't want you all to simply saying, here's where I made money, high five ICT. That's cool. A lot of people like to see that. I like seeing it. It fluffs my ego. I ain't going to lie to you. It feels good to see my students doing well. But I also really want to see folks share where they're fucking up, what they're doing wrong. Because not only will it be an opportunity for you to get me replying to you saying, you did this incorrectly and you should have been focusing on that. You'll learn from it and other people will learn from that. But you're all afraid to show what I opened this whole presentation out with. You don't want to show your weaknesses. You don't show where you've done it wrong. And that's where the learning occurs. You don't learn anything when you did it right. That's sugar-coated. That's candy-coated bullshit. You're not going to constantly win. You're going to lose. You're going to lose money. You're going to do it wrong. And how are you going to take that? Are you going to lose your shit and lose your mind about it? Oh, man, I got to go back in right away and do it. Why? But you need to know your model and your market. And you want to be back testing, okay? At least the minimum of 3 months with tape reading interwoven in that. Optimally, you want to do it at least for 6 months. So you can split it up with the first 3 months of back testing, no tape reading. All hindsight, going back and looking at old data, logging it, seeing where the patterns form, what it looked like, how much risk would have been incurred, how many times it would have failed, how many times it would have panned out, where your potential entries would be pyramided if you want to do pyramid. Some of you might not want a pyramid. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't let me, because I do it, inspire you to feel like you have to do that. You might be just one entry and go to first partial or second partial or go to full target. But don't go to full target when you're first learning. You're going to frustrate yourself because you're going to be doing it wrong. You'll be entering too soon, entering too late, or entering incorrectly, and you're going to try to hold on to something for a full target. This is why I'm just going to fucking say it. Tom Dante, he's always talked about me in his little private little circles. Never had the balls to say anything publicly. And he would always say, it doesn't make any sense to take partials because you incur the initial risk. And then as you take something off, you're not getting paid for the initial risk. I don't give a fuck about that initial risk. Once it starts paying me, I want to get fucking paid. I'm taking something out of the trade. And that logic to me is absolutely asinine. You are in this to make money. You're not in here to say, here, I got a trophy. It went to my target. It's going to my target many times. But I don't need it to go to my fucking target. I'm rolling that account up. I'm parlaying that account up. And I'm quickly removing all that leverage that I have tied up in that trade. I can do something else while I'm scaling out. You don't see that shit. That's how I ran these fucking small accounts up. That's how I did it. But you want to listen to these fucking clowns that don't trade, that don't do shit on there. They make these little squilly fucking lines and poor ass jokes. These people don't make fucking money. They don't make money. They don't fucking have consistency. But they hate fucking people like me. And I fucking love it. I love it. So back test for 3 months minimum, or 6 months of back testing with tape reading. That means when you're tape reading, you're literally sitting in front of the charts, watching live data print on the charts, but you're not taking the entries. You're not even pushing a demo account. You're doing it for experience, reading the price, watching how it reacts. And then what you're doing is you're seeing, say for instance, you're watching the S&P, okay? And you think it's going to go down to a particular level. You know you're drawing liquidity. You know it's likely to go lower. You're waiting for the fair value gap to form, and you want to watch and see how it gravitates up into it. How does it react? Does it immediately deliver after it goes into a fair value gap? Does it hang around a little bit and then start moving in your favor? Does it go down and then come back up to it one more time and tap into it, which is the reason why I don't teach trailing your stop loss aggressively, because that's a tendency in the marketplace. The algorithm can come back and touch that fair value gap one more time. And that's a normal thing. You don't see that shit in books. It's just, well, you got stopped out and, you know, maybe you can take another trade. Fuck that. I'm going to go right back in that market. If I get stopped out and everything's true, I'm going to use that retouch of a fair value gap later on that I've already entered on, because I know they can be reclaimed, recycled, reused, if you will, because they are real support and resistance. You're talking about support and resistance is a joke in your mind community. It isn't if you're using the fair value gap, because you can literally use fair value gaps as points of inversion, where once they go through it, then it should act as what? If you're looking at a fair value gap that you thought was going to be bearish and it trades through it, shows no respect to it, when that bitch comes back down and touches that again on the buy side, I expect a trade there. If everything is equal, and I know I was wrong on my short idea, and it's shown me I'm absolutely wrong, I'm going to buy that fair value gap that I would have been using for a short. Isn't that support and resistance theory? Yes. But the problem is that idea of support and resistance, you don't know what fucking high or low to put it on. Look at everybody on Twitter. Look at everybody on TradingView, on YouTube, that uses trend lines. How the fuck did they arrive at those trend lines? And how many times is it really respecting it? They'll draw it after it's happened. Oh, look at this. This is where it touched. No, draw that fucking line before the market comes down and touches it and reacts. I don't see that ever. I don't ever see that. I'm always looking for it, but I never see that shit. But how many times have you seen me and my fucking students recording our entries in management, and it's beautifully respecting the fucking things that we're doing to the fucking level right there? Bang, laser guided precision. Poor Goldman Sachs boys. So you got initially, right away, going into anything with me, you got a minimum of 6 months of never pushing a button, because you need to know how you're going to react to seeing price. Are you going to be palms sweaty and anxious about it? And you're not even in a demo, because you want to be right. And you're going to see how removing the idea of being right or wrong, take the game aspect out of it, because that's bullshit, because this is not a fucking game. It's not a fucking video game. This will wreck your fucking ass. It'll ruin your shit if you don't know what you're doing. So you got to respect this risk. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But you want to be listening to your internal dialogue of what you think you see in the charts. And then you want to write that down and screenshot it as you're doing it. And you're tape reading. You're not just simply watching price. When you think you see something, you screen capture that. And you quickly put an annotation in there. What you think. You don't have time to be fully automating the narrative in a text format. You're literally just trying to encapsulate that moment, what you thought you saw, and then there it is. So the way you could do this is pre-type on TradingView or whatever platform you're using, fair value gap bearish, fair value gap bullish, draw on liquidity, and stop loss, first partial, have those already on your chart. And then when it's doing what you think it is, drag that little text over there. You see me typing it out because I'm proving that I'm doing this live. Okay, everybody bitches about, oh, it's a cherry pick. Bullshit. Dude, I'm doing it right next to these other guys that are doing live streaming. I'm not going to live stream. I'm not going to do that. I cannot do that and think clearly about what I'm doing. But there's no denying that what I'm doing is I can only be typing and annotating and managing a stop on one chart. In TradingView, if you're working with whether it be demo or your live account, you can only do one account. They're not letting you run two. It's the same fucking account. So all that shit goes out the window when you really take a step back and say, okay, no, this shit's really happening. It's really happening. Yes. And you won't even worry about that nonsense if you start doing the things I'm talking about. Go look at old data, study it, get your back data stuff. How many times it's formed, when it failed, and what does that look like? I'm absolutely going to do that for you in 2023. When we come back together again in February. So you got 6 months of back testing and tape reading. After 6 months, okay, then you go into a minimum of 3 months of demo trading. Now, I personally say 6 months of consistency. If you think for a fucking second that you are ready to go with a live account before at least what I've said here and expect consistency, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to blow your account. You don't even know yourself. You're going to ruin yourself. And you're going to be a statistic. You're going to be an ICT statistic where, you know, the people that rush through it and try to do it quicker, they fail and they think the shit don't work because of that. Anybody else's stuff, when they rush to go through it, there it is. It's failure. Well, it's you. It's you. You're trying to do it too fast. And you haven't seen a full year. You haven't appreciated the level of consistency and the ideas as the market dynamics I've outlined here. They happen all the time, folks. How do you think I'm finding all these examples all the time? I mean, think about it. Okay, if it's so easy to cherry pick it, I want to see somebody else do it. Cherry pick it. Do it. You can do both sides of the marketplace. Record one trade going one way and one trade going the other way, but it better be fucking precise entries like mine. And it better hit targets, and you better be moving a stop loss that entered the time when you put it in there. Don't be putting no 24 contracts or 40 contracts on a simulator account where it ain't even being recorded and say you made $45,000. That shit don't fucking float, okay? So 3 months minimum demo. Minimum. And I'm suggesting you should do 6. Because if you are 6 months consistently following the rules and the model in the only markets you're going to be trading, but ICT, which one am I going to trade? Do I trade the ES? Do I trade the NASDAQ? Do I trade the US 100? Do I trade the US 500, the US 30, or the Dow? Which one do I trade? Whatever one you settle on. Don't let me influence that. You already know which market you want to trade. You're just looking for me to co-sign it or somebody else that might be making money consistently. That's what it is. Everybody wants to see, what are you trading? Synthetic indices. I don't know anything about that shit. I don't know if my stuff works. I don't even know what that is. But I have a lot of African folks that will ask me that, and I don't know what that is. Or, do you trade the volatility index? I don't fucking trade that. No way. You see what I trade. I'm trading ES or NASDAQ. That's it. That's it. It's a simple, small little universe. And if I had to trade just one, ES. And I would never, ever, ever need to do anything else ever again. I wouldn't have to look at any other charts, ever. Just ES. All I got to do is look at it in the springtime and see when there's a divergence to set me up the sell model. And I'll look for it in the fall to be a buy model. And that's it. I don't need to look at anything else. Because everything else is going to be in that chart for ES or whatever market you're trying to follow. But if you want to have ridiculous insight and you want to have the prowess that you see me demonstrated and you see my students demonstrating in their examples, they're out there recording themselves doing it. They're on their own little YouTube channels in their own little lane doing their own thing. And I'm not telling them to get in those trades. And man, that fucking feels amazing. It feels amazing seeing them able to do that. Like, I love showing my sons. I show my wife, look at this guy. Look what he just did there. Look, and then when I share my examples, I'm recording. You don't know what I'm doing. You don't know what I'm doing. You don't know what trades I'm taking. And then I put it up there, and then everybody comes behind me. Look at this. I took the same trade, and they've recorded their same shit. There's no fucking way you can go back in time. Record all that compressed data, all that delivery and price, annotations, all the bullshit. There's no way that can be faked. That means there was a transfer of knowledge from me to them. That's proof of concept. That is proof the shit works. And it means if they can do it, you can fucking do it. And don't let no fucking clown anywhere tell you you can't. Because I'm telling you, you can. You absolutely can. I've made this obtainable for all of you. Yes, it takes work. Everything does. Every fucking thing takes work and effort. It's going to be a hard press for some of you. It's going to be easier for others. And you have to find out what it's going to be for you. But you just simply got to dig your heels in. Dig your heels in and say, fuck it. I'm going to put up with whatever I got to put up with. I already know it's going to be hard because if it ain't rough, it ain't right. That's just the way it is. Because if it was easy, everybody could do it. And you don't see that. You don't see it. So you have a full, complete year if you do it right, optimally. 6 months of back testing and tape reading. And then 3 to 6 months of